Hi, this is Patrick with a handy-dandy lesson on how to do APA reference citations. Now, for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to use this book, Speak Up, an Illustrated Guide to Public Speaking. Now, most of what I'm going to tell you right now is actually located on the Purdue Online Writing Lab, otherwise known as OWL at Purdue. And there's a great APA site, including how to make your reference list, some basic rules. You have things like authors, how to do books, how to do non-print sources, which is a lot of what you're going to have in addition to books, electronic sources, and things like that. However, I'm going to go through how to break down basics of doing this citation. Now, what we have here is a Microsoft Word document, and I'm going to do first a reference page. So one of the things you're going to want to do within the reference page is you're going to want to type in references at the top or works cited. I'm going to be honest, some things I'm really not picky on, and that's one of them. That is centered in the middle of the page on a separate page. It can be in the same document, but on a separate page. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create what we call a hanging indent. And the way you do that is if you're in Microsoft Word, you have these two little triangle things up here. And what you do is you just drag the bottom triangle over to where it says ½ inch. That's now called a hanging indent. What that means is when you continue from one line to the next, it's going to indent the second, third, fourth, however many other lines you have, and that's exactly what you should be doing. Now, in this case, we have Speak Up, and we have two authors, Douglas Frawley and Joseph Tuman. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with the first author as listed in the book. In this case, it's Frawley. So I'm going to type Frawley's name, comma, and we don't use full names for first names in APA. So we're going to use his first initial, D. He has a middle initial, M, period. And then we're going to put a comma, and we're going to do the second name, Tuman, comma, J, period, S, period. And that is what we do for the authors. After we put the authors in, we're going to put in the publication year. And in this case, it's hard to see on the little screen, but the publication year is 2009. So we're just going to put a parenthesis, and then 2009, and then we're actually going to put a period outside of the closing parentheses. At this point, what we're going to do is type in the title of the book. In this case, it's Speak Up, an Illustrated Guide to Public Speaking. It's actually a title and a subtitle. To do this, you're going to italicize Now you'll notice that when I type this, that the first letter of the first word of the title and the first letter of the first word of the subtitle are capitalized. However, when you're doing an actual book, you don't capitalize any of the other words. So that's why it's not capitalized, because Speak Up is the title and Illustrated Guide to Public Speaking is the subtitle. It is all in italics. The next thing you're going to do for a book is you're going to look up publication information. In this case, this was published in, you look for, sometimes they have more than one location for publisher. In this case, it's just Boston, Massachusetts. So I'm going to put Boston, MA, and then I'm going to put a colon, and then I'm going to put the name of the publisher. In this case, it's Bedford St. Martin's. And I just take this directly out of the publication page of the textbook. And that is my full reference for this book. You'll notice that it did indent automatically for me, and if I press enter and I start a new one, it will not indent. Now, if you're going to be doing different types of references, say you're going to take something from a website or from someplace else, that's when you want to go to the Online Writing Lab and look up what you're doing. So, for example, if it's an article in a periodical, this is how you would do it. If it's something that you got from an electronic source, such as an article from an online periodical, this is how you would do it. It all follows the same basic structure, but each one has slightly different variations on it. If you have any further questions on how to use APA citations, and it's not covered under OWL or you're not quite understanding it, please talk to me so that we can go over it. because this is a very valuable thing for you to learn how to do. If not necessarily because you might use it again in your later life, but because by following really precise instructions like this, it will prepare you for whatever career you go through in the future, where being precise will be an important part of life. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.